Alentejo, the endless sea of green. The climate of this place is renowned around Portugal. Indeed, the local air instantly lifted my spirits. I managed to find a passing gypsy to ferry me to this island. He said his name was Queron and that he would take me there for 2 escudos. He seemed surprised when I asked him to take me, saying I was the first visitor in a while. He told me that Alentejo is a truly special place, like no other on earth. But the culture has no place in today's world. The old way of life is dying. He said I would need a guide if I wanted to truly see Alentejo. I looked up and saw a jumble of white boxes floating in the fields, growing larger as we approached. He recited to me a phone number which I hurriedly scribbled down. Then he departed in the other direction. I arrived at the place where I agreed to meet this guide. As I entered, I wasn't sure if it was the right address. There seemed to be no one here but the cranes. I turned around and saw him standing there. His name was Alentejo, and this old field was where he came for his daily walk. He proceeded to tell me how the football field had gotten this way. According to him, life was much simpler back in the 70s. There was work in the mines, and the miners were treated like heroes. They had few worries. There was just church and football. But after the revolution, everything changed. The mine owners had to sell out and were tossed around back and forth from one foreign owner to the next, until this very day. Now, there's plenty of work, but no job security. The workers are subject to being moved to a job in another country at a moment's notice, to leave their families or lose the job. Of course, the mines were always dangerous, but now workers are forced to do 10-hour shifts at a time without breathing fresh air. He told me a story that happened not too long ago. A young man supporting his family was working in the mines one day, when out of nowhere the roof caved in right on top of him. He was the sole provider for his wife and daughter, and they were left with no income. He said the youth nowadays want no part of it. They're all too busy trying to buy cars and take girls out to dinner. Alentejo called it decadence. He said it was ruining the heritage here. As sad as his story sounded, I sensed in Alentejo a strangely content calm while he spoke. He said that was the state of things with the miners. The town also had an illustrious agricultural background. He said I should talk to an old friend he met back when he was doing work in France, a farmer that goes by the name of Francisco. He turned and began walking away, treading the path worn into the overgrown grass by his daily ritual. As I approached the address that Alentejo had given me, I noticed 2 local men standing outside talking. I asked if they knew Francisco Alentejo had sent me. Francisco stepped forward, and I explained that I was here to find what makes Alentejo special. I asked him to tell me what life here was like as a farmer. He said that when he was a boy, there was always work available. Now, they have machines that will harvest an entire crop. Less people are needed. The only way for many to get by is to leave Alentejo. For the farmers of the old way, there's no young manpower. The new generations are rejecting the heritage. They have no wish to live in the countryside. There are no grandkids running around anymore. He invited me in his house, and I met his wife, Maria de Conceição. She told me the story of their daughter, Deolinda, who grew up there. She married a young miner and had a daughter herself, Gertrude. A few years later, her husband was killed in a freak accident. Deolinda couldn't work in the mine, and the family crop wasn't yielding enough to pay for 2 households. She was forced to go work in the factory up north. Maria said that the factory was really helping the local economy. It even brings young cork pickers back from the city for the harvesting season. She said Deolinda seemed to like the new life. Gertrude being a young woman now. She works at the shopping center. Maria doesn't think Gertrude will stay in Alentejo much longer. She says she sees no future for herself in this place, but seems to have a good future planned somewhere. All for the best, she said. I thanked him and began to depart, but Francisco said I was not to leave without a nice bag of oranges. I had heard Alentejo oranges were delicious, but these were something else. I thanked Francisco for the parting gifts and left his house. Alentejo truly is a special place. The endless landscape stretches for as far as the eye can see. There's still endless beauty and abundance untouched by time. The old inhabitants will never wish to leave. For them, this is the ideal place to spend the rest of one's days. The next generation has left the countryside, many working on spreading Alentejo's riches around the world. They are off to seek new horizons. As for me, I plan on staying here for good. I have arrived. I am change.